watching CSTV, award-winning innovation in broadcast television production.
From the corporate capitals of America, this is American Spotlight. American Spotlight travels behind the walls of industrial America, bringing to life the fascinating success stories of American business and its people. Discover the secrets that make America the industrial capital of the world, today on American Spotlight. And now from Chicago, this is American Spotlight.
The old U.S. military Jeep was one of the most popular vehicles of its time. And they're still running today thanks to Hercules Engines Incorporated, a manufacturer of the Jeep engine and still the main source for parts and service. Just as Hercules Engines helped set the standard for a number of military vehicles, the company is also setting standards for today's commercial vehicles and power equipment. The way the company has successfully managed to maintain a leadership position through corporate and industry changes is also a tribute to its people, as we'll learn on this program. Please join me in welcoming Hercules Engines President Gary Smith and Robert Holtgreave, Senior Vice President, our guest today on American Spotlight.
Hercules Engines Incorporated was founded in 1915 and still occupies its original 36-acre headquarters and manufacturing site in Canton, Ohio. From initial development of high-performance gasoline engines, then diesel engines in the 30s, the company's technology team today also produces engines powered by LPG and natural gas, designed for functional and environmental demands. Since the early 20th century, Hercules engines have helped move America through the war years and through a number of industrial power transitions. From its founding headquarters located here on 36 acres in Canton, Ohio, the 75-year-old company today supplies a series of engines to keep America on the move.
These are unique because there were only 3 made with Hercules engines in them at that time.
Canton, Ohio Fire Chief Charles Bunyan.
What you're looking at is a 1937 Aaron's Fox 750-gallon per minute pumper.
Chief Bunyan says it's the original Hercules engine and has never undergone major repairs.
If need be, if the occasion occurred where we would have to use it, we could still take it out and it'll still pump just the way it did the day it was purchased.
The original Hercules company has, however, undergone some overhaul work over its 3/4 of a century in business. But the times and seasons in ownership and management changes have produced a tougher, more competitive, and resolute corporate culture. One-time president and now a director on the board, Joe Sheets, first began with the company in 1948 and shares a renewed optimism.
I would say that this company has had many ups and downs. In fact, it went bankrupt one time when the only customer was a Ford Motor Company. And today, this company is pulling out of a hole, and I think that it's going to be very successful.
Behind that success are more than 400 engineers, machinists, assemblers, research and development, and administrative support people. The company's 4 basic engine models are designed for original equipment manufacturers, industrial and military use throughout the U.S. and the world. Gene Easterday is Vice President, Contract Administration.
Hercules Engines has supplied military engines and parts to the government since World War I. We are currently supplying engines for the 2.5-ton military truck for the United States government and its allies. We supplied engines for the 1/4-ton Jeep since the early 1960s.
In addition to engines and parts for the U.S. military, Hercules is also renewing older vehicles, including those for international applications. Vice President, International Marketing, Don Hoisington.
The products that we are dealing with right now are the 2.5-ton truck with our D4800 straight diesel engine, as you have seen previously being built out there for the government of Pakistan. That's one example.
Today's Hercules technology is built around a diversity of alternate fuel engines, which operate on gasoline, natural gas, LPG, and now with compressed natural gas. Mike Irvin is Director of Distribution.
To have the natural gas version of the engines that we have right now is probably a real attribute to the company, because we're going to be the first ones to have a truly dedicated compressed natural gas engine. And we feel that's going to be a big piece of our new business, especially in the commercial end.
The Hercules-built engine was the subject of a Tulsa news conference in the late summer of '90. It is the result of joint leadership among the Crane Carrier Corporation, developer of specialty vehicles, American Transportation Company, which will use the engine in its Ward school buses, Hercules Engines, and Oklahoma Natural Gas Company. Crane Carrier President Ed Mascaron.
By the way, the Hercules engine today meets the 1994 emission requirements. Not 1991, but 1994.
Oklahoma Natural Gas President Elmer Campus.
And there are organizations that are dedicated to preserving our environment that they have recognized that natural gas is one of the cleanest.
Besides compressed natural gas, or CNG, as an alternate fuel for environmental reasons, it is increasingly appealing, given problems related to dependence on foreign oil and dwindling production in states like Oklahoma. Oklahoma Corporation Commissioner James Townsend.
We're here today to tell everybody, I mean everybody at the Capitol in Oklahoma City, everybody at the Capitol in Washington, D.C., we're here to tell the world Oklahomans are through shuffling paper. Ed, we're ready to take action and to make things happen.
And in our follow-up report, we'll spend more time in the Hercules manufacturing plant, where its engines are engineered, machined, assembled, and tested.
We welcome again Gary Smith, President, and Robert Holtgreave, Senior Vice President, Hercules Engines. Gary, you've had the great good fortune, at least Hercules Engines has, of celebrating a Diamond Jubilee. What's your assessment of the years of corporate and industry changes that has brought Hercules to today?
Well, Jackie, I think as we go into 1990, we're a much different company, of course, than we were 75 years ago. In fact, we're probably much different than we were in the beginning of 1990. And I just couldn't be prouder of the management team that has brought Hercules back in our restructuring as we start our 76th year and go forward with a renewed enthusiasm of that whole group.
Bob, what do you think were some of the significant historic accomplishments since the company began in 1915?
There's been a lot of things, Jackie. I think the one I should comment on is the fact that Hercules in 1915 was the first company to build heavy-duty gasoline engines for trucks and buses. And Hercules today, 75 years later, are now introducing a naturally gas-driven engine, which will be also used for trucks and buses, but it has special design features so that it'll be fuel efficient, meet emission requirements. And the thing that's kind of interesting is the engines today are going to be half the size and half the weight of what the engines were back in the 1915s.
Smaller and more efficient,
right,
as we go. Gary, how much has Hercules Engines changed in order to cross over to the commercial domestic marketplace?
Well, as Bob told you, we had started out in 1915 with heavy-duty trucks, buses, and a whole variety of engines. And really the base of the business that put Hercules into the forefront was the military business in World War II. We dedicated our production to the U.S. military, and from that point, you know, we've been gaining back customers and gaining a base in the commercial business. And today, we're making the transition from basically a military supplier to a commercial industrial supplier. And we feel quite good about it. It's been very successful.
Let's talk a little bit more about LPG and compressed natural gas. What's the why between those two innovations?
Well, actually, the compressed natural gas at this point filled a niche market that we felt very comfortable about. We had been there in the industrial business, and the vehicular market became very strong.
I'd like to comment on that, Gary. I think the importance of natural gas is the fact that we've got to move away from our dependence upon imported oil and get back to starting using our domestic sources of energy, of which natural gas, of course, is one of the main sources of energy we have. So we feel that's important. And the other reason for the natural gas is the fact that an engine designed specially to run with natural gas, which has lean burn technology and so forth, will meet the emissions and give us the clean environment that we all are striving for, particularly in major cities such as Los Angeles, Denver, and so forth.
What's the projection on when we might see more of this kind of engine operating full scale?
I think we probably both could take a crack at that, Bob, but I guess my impression is that the time for alternative fuels is here now. We're poised to be there and have, as you noticed, hooked up with Crane Carrier Corporation with the bus market to be prepared in 1991 to begin producing buses for the city of Tulsa, which is where our first order has come from. And
so it's now and in the near future.
It's going to grow, no question about it.
What about your personal philosophy of management? You've had some rather large hurdles to overcome.
Yeah, we have, and like I said, I couldn't be prouder of the management team, of the salaried workforce, and of the union workforce. We've gone through some real trials and tribulations in the last 8 months, and I think the enthusiasm of our people and the dedication of the total workforce that has been evolving, I think we're getting stronger every day. The union has signed a 4-year contract with concessionary benefits in it. The salaried workforce has operated at a leaner base, and we've even had people come up and contribute salary reductions in the whole process to make Hercules strong again.
So a real team effort.
I've seen a big change in the attitude and the cooperation of Hercules since my starting in Hercules back in the early 1960s. So there's definitely a trend to move this company forward into the 1990s.
As members of the management team, how do you feel it's necessary to inspire the workforce? How do you go about doing that? How do you provide inspiration to keep them going in lean times and then certainly encouraging and good?
I think we've begun a communication process with the people that we've brought them into the total management of the company. We promised that when we started. I think we have done that, and the communications has really become two-way. We listen to what the people are saying in the factory and try to respond to those people that are working on the line every day to do it. I think the workers within the salaried workforce have that same kind of input that we can give as we take ourselves the next step forward. Bob, I feel that your leadership in the engineering and the marketing areas have really led us to many new accounts and new levels of the upgrades on the 2300 and the 3400 engines, for example.
Yeah.
There you have it. Compliment for you and for all the team at Hercules Engines. We'll hear more about it later. Here's Bill Freeman.
Hercules has supplied more engines for military tactical vehicles than any other manufacturer in history. And during the 40s alone, the company produced 750,000 such engines in their Canton, Ohio plant. Let's follow our cameras now into the same facility where the company's engineers and technicians draw on their experience for both military and domestic applications. Today's 4 basic models of Hercules engines are manufactured along 3 assembly lines at the Canton, Ohio plant. Tom Huggins is Director of Manufacturing Operations.
We manufacture everything that you see, 75% of everything you see in this engine we manufacture right here in this facility. I feel the best resource we have here at Hercules is our people. The people that work here for our company is a part of the UAW local union. They are very experienced and dedicated workforce. The seniority, average seniority of the workforce here is approximately 15 years.
Take, for example, Hollis Anderson Jr., veteran of at least 26 years with the company.
Well, there's a lot of progress. These engines that we build, they're beautiful engines. They operate right, and they're very strong, and we get quite a bit of sales on them.
Sales for current products, development for new customer applications, and manufacturing are supported by the Hercules Engineering Department. Vice President Engineering Paul Cassidy characterizes his team as problem solvers.
Even though it's today's basic engine, there may be a lot of development of components for application reasons and detailed design, drafting, and even some testing that goes into supporting that new product, new application sale.
Case in point, Wiggins Lift Company of Oxnard, California is a builder of a line of forklifts to handle from 3,000 to 40,000 pounds capacity. President Mike Wiggins.
Our expertise is in niche marketing. We'll find a market that a particular customer wants met. We'll design a truck for that market and sell the product to that vendor.
Working with Wiggins, Hercules project engineer Ray Rosner and product engineer of the Spark Ignition Department, Tim Hinton, came up with the right formula. And it turned out to be a Hercules 1600 cubic inch engine to power a highly maneuverable utility vehicle to move heavy materials.
In some cases, the original approach with this particular engine was a gas engine, which Tim handled, and the engines out in the West Coast were diesels.
We make certain that the carburetor calibration is optimized, that the governor regulation is correct, and assist Ray in whatever areas he needs assistance in with regard to the basic engine package.
They will put the radiator, the transmission cooler, the transmission, and give us a complete power package so that when we get it in our manufacturing plant, then we're able to install it as easily as possible, and thus helping us in our costs.
Another case in point, American Road Machinery manufactures equipment to help cities with new landfill laws. This 25 cubic yard leaf collector is one of 5 models which vacuums up leaves and mulches them. Another unit pulls gravel, rocks, and other debris out of storm sewer catch basins. American Road Machinery President and General Manager, Emil Hank.
This is a G1600 gasoline. It is a rugged engine. Now, I've really been in designing and manufacturing of the vacuum line for over 40 years. And of all the engines that we've used, and we had an opportunity to use a lot of them, this is the most rugged.
Hercules product engineer Jim McGraw.
Our group, Product Engineering, is involved with providing technical support not only to the plant but also to customers. So we would work with Emil in this case in sizing the engine, working on any mounting systems, cooling systems, that type of thing.
Now for Hercules manufacturing. Smoothly working systems with no backlogs and bottlenecks in the factory is under Director of Material Control Bruce Weick.
For the most part, we're looking at 2 to 3 week turnaround from start to finish of a complete engine.
Incoming engine block castings are checked against a drawing, verified by instrument, and charted, machined, assembled, run tested, and shipped. Manager of Planning and Audits, Rod Baxter.
Basically what we do is take a sample out of each lot of material that's received and try to verify that to the drawing.
The procedure includes a hardness test by measuring an indentation made in the casting. The use of a coordinate measurement machine which accurately probes the surface and openings of the block, which are analyzed by a computer. And checking a threaded plug on a supermicrometer, which has an accuracy of 5 millionths of an inch. That kind of precision is carried through the machining area before assembly of the engine components. Block castings go through 36 different operations, according to LD block line foreman Joe Maraglia.
In order to meet our government standards and specs, basically, that is why we're doing all the operations. And we're holding within tenths of a thousandths. We have a variety of SPC operations on the block line. Our close tolerances are all checked through our SPC processes.
The 4 basic models of Hercules engines, complete with any number of modifications, are assembled along 3 lines. Each one is run tested, up to 2.5 hours. Product reliability engineer Ron Reichard.
Everything is tested and inspected 100% for leaks, horsepower, oil pressures, and anything of that nature. Plus, we run 1 engine out of 100, a 50-hour continuous run, and 1 out of 50 on a 10-hour test to make sure that everything is quality-wise meets our customers' requirement.
The Hercules engine nears the moment of packing for shipment. And on the way, Assistant Traffic Manager and Trim Foreman Chuck Lancaster and his people get it ready for the final touches.
Well, once the engine is tested back through our test department, as you know, it's brought over, we prep it and get it ready for painting. Then we paint it, then we put on your clutches, your fan blades, and your alternator accessories and stuff.
Finally, Hercules engines are headed for destinations across the U.S. and around the world. Bob Morgan is Director of National Accounts.
You've noticed the military product, which goes into steel containers. Those are long-term storage units. They're actually That's a pressurized system. There's air pumped into those units when they're packaged. Most of our commercial business, though, is shipped on wooden skids.
As noted, the year 1990 brought with it a diamond jubilee for the company. And at age 75, still running strong, the present and near future lie in the domain of today's leadership.
Joining us now with Hercules President Gary Smith is Jack Denis, Vice President of Finance and Administration. Welcome, Jack.
Thank you, Jackie.
Tell me a little bit about what you foresee for the financial future of Hercules Engines.
Well, I think we've looked at some of the business opportunities that are facing Hercules, and I think we have some tremendous opportunities for the 90s. Obviously, we've projected significant increases in sales over the next few years. We're looking externally for some creative methods to help us with that financing. Internally, we've put together a lot of programs which are going to help reduce cost and also to preserve our cash. Just to mention a few of the programs, we have a cost control committee that we put in place, and it's a group of managers very knowledgeable of the company, and they challenge any of the expenditures that are being made in the company. We have an SPC program in the plant, which is reducing any scrap or rework expense. We put in some energy conservation systems. We put in a new business planning system, which has made significant improvements in our inventories. You know, we've reduced our inventory by approximately 25%, even though we're in a growth year. On top of that, we're working very closely with our suppliers, and they're working with us too, to decrease that inventory and to get more into a just-in-time type environment. So these programs are already impacting the bottom line and improving our position on the balance sheet.
Hercules President Gary Smith. Let's talk about positioning. You know, we talk about positions and how important they are in football teams and other sports. But what about the company of Hercules? How would you say, where do you fit in the pecking order of the industry?
Bill, I see Hercules as a niche marketer. We probably don't measure the penetration percentages and take a look at the importance of being in large volume markets, but positioning ourselves in niches that are profitable for us, good for our end user, and it makes a nice partnership that's in there. Examples of that would be the lift truck business, and you saw a lot of the lift trucks at our Diamond Jubilee celebration, and Caterpillar, Komatsu, Wiggins, Kalmar, to name a few of those, are those that are using the gasoline and LPG engines for a niche that wants a strong industrial engine on that. The public works market, when we had the American Roads machine, it is just an indication of many companies like Giant Vac and Tarrant and Morbark and Asplund and the Bandit chippers that come back in there. They're not noted as industrial giants, but they're niche marketers like we are, and we provide a package to them that fits into it. Another niche that's been one that stayed with us over the years is the genset market. And generator sets.
Generator, all right.
30 to 150 kW. And
the power makers.
The power makers. People like Catalite who treat a niche. The Magnatech people, the Fairmont people, and a specialty niche that they have that goes back to that. And now we position ourselves and jump into a new niche, the compressed natural gas for the vehicular market. And
so when you group all of this together now, you've got a good volume of business, don't you?
Yeah, the volume base is growing, and we're excited about it, you know. And Jack talks about cost containment and cost improvement in the things that we're doing in the plant.
Efficiencies.
I've come back to say to Jack and his people, you know, whether they be in that MIS group or in the accounting group, Jack, you know, your people are like magicians in the things that you can do with the stretching the monies that we do have, and that's a partnership, too, that I think we've got with our suppliers that have been so helpful to us as we restructure.
Based on all of this, then, the growth patterns, then, seem to be developing and projecting a rather bright and brilliant future, then, for this company that has just celebrated its big Diamond Jubilee.
We have a real opportunity into this thing. I don't know that I would state it as a bright and brilliant future, but one where we can service a niche and be a very profitable performer in the marketplace.
Jack, what about the caliber of people coming into the company to help build the future?
Well, you know, we could really look at that in two phases. Our hourly workforce is a mature group. And I kind of did a quick calculation. I think we have over 5,000 years of technology experience in the factory, and those guys do a wonderful job. On the salary side, when you look at the engineering and accounting areas, we just got a real good blend of, you know, some of the older guys have been around for 20 years, 25 years, and some young guys coming up with advanced degrees, and you just see that the mix and the sharing of technology. So I think we have a better chemistry than I've seen in the 10 years I've been there.
Gary, very briefly, what do you think it takes to be a success in business today based on your experience in business and especially Hercules Engines?
Well, I think the communication we've had with all of our people, you know, starting with that worker on the floor. And our average worker, as you saw on the tape, has probably 20 years experience in the plant. And we need to learn from them. We need to learn from the people, as Jack talks about, of the wide base of knowledge that we have in all ends. And I think the communication and the trust that we've had that goes back in a growth pattern there has been very helpful.
Well, thanks for sharing your success story. Gary Smith, President, and Jack Denis, as well as Bob Holtgreave for joining us from Hercules Engines. Till next time, I'm Jackie Bishop for Bill Freeman. Goodbye.
This has been a CSTV television production.